What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Alolan DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In the last episode we covered Type Null, Fancy Type Null, and I offered you guys a choice between two Pokemon for this episode. They were Alolan forms. We had Alolan Golem and Persian, and Golem came out on top, so of course we're covering Alolan Golem today. But for next episode number 139, we have another Guardian Pokemon. We have a choice between Tapu Koko and Tapu Fini. The other two Guardians we haven't covered yet. Which one would you like to see covered next episode? Let me know down below by either commenting Koko or Fini, and the one with most votes will be covered next episode. But for now, let's jump in and have a look at Alolan Golem. It's number 76 in the National Pokédex, of course, and a rock electric type in its Alolan form. It's also the Megaton Pokemon and stands at 5 foot 7 inches or 1.7 meters tall, so it's pretty big, as well as weighing 696.7 pounds or 316 kilograms. It's in the Mineral Egg group, as well as having a simple 50-50 male-female split. Evolution wise, of course, we have Geodude and Graveler. Geodude evolves into Graveler starting at level 25, and then Graveler will evolve further into Golem with obviously a trade, so that's pretty simple there. So base stat wise for Alolan Golem, let's have a look. You can see its highest base stat is defense, as you might have guessed, at 130, then its attack at 120, health points at 80, special defense at 65, special attack at 55, and then finally speed at 45. So it's slow, but it is a fairly physically bulky and physically offensive Pokemon. So abilities for Alolan Golem, there are 3 available. First of these is Magnet Pull, which prevents any steel type Pokemon from leaving. It's okay, but of course you haven't really got any advantage against steel types, so there's not too much there. The second one, however, is Sturdy, which you could run, but due to your high physical defense, there's not really much point in it, because of course you're generally going to be able to take 1 or 2 hits at least. The last ability though, the hidden ability, is arguably the best, Galvanize. It's the sort of alternative or equivalent of Pixelate or Glaciate. Is it Glaciate? No, I'm making that one up. Whatever. We have Galvanize. Normal type moves become electric type moves, and it boosts its power a little. So very good there. So the typing for Alolan Golem: Rock Electric. Pretty good resistances, normal, fire, electric, flying, poison, flying being 4 times resistance, but of course we have some weaknesses. We have grass, water, fighting, and ground, and of course ground is that nasty 4 times weakness, so you're really going to have to be careful, especially with that. But then in terms of that, rest of the types taking neutral, so nothing too special there, but generally overall a decent type, I suppose, especially with Galvanize boosting up his electric type attacks and being pretty good there. So what moves might you want to learn or might you want to use for Golem? Well, first up, couple level up moves. We have level 44 Explosion, a very powerful move at 250 base power, normal type, but of course this is to be paired with Galvanize for a very powerful electric type move. And then an alternative here is Double Edge at level 50. Of course you're going to get some recoil on Double Edge, but you won't fully die like Explosion, so that's a benefit. Less power, but of course you stay alive, and of course it's normal again, so powered up by Galvanize. Then one of our 11th move is Stone Edge at level 54, basically your rock type stab, only 80% accuracy, but the 100 base power definitely makes it worth it. Then with the TMs, we start off with TM26 Earthquake, which is good coverage for us here, especially against those steel types, as I mentioned earlier, give you a bit of coverage generally all around. And then moving further to the next TM, we have TM27 Return. Now if you don't want to take the recoil, the next most powerful normal type move, of course, is Return at 102 base power at maximum happiness, and of course pair that with Galvanize, bit of extra power for you there. An alternative, however, is Facade at TM42. This obviously is 70 base power normally, but of course if you become poisoned, for example, it doubles to 140. So in the cases that it might happen, you might get poisoned, for example, you definitely could think about running it and use it in those situations. Then we have our only electric type stab here, which is Volt Switch, because of course we're relying on Galvanize for most of the others, and of course Volt Switch will give you the option to switch out. Even if it is special, it's not really for damage, it's more for switching in and out, being a bit more flexible. One final TM is Sleep Talk, which could be paired for Rest if you really want, but it might be worth running Sleep Talk anyway, just in case you get put to sleep. You could have Facade and Sleep Talk, as well as then Earthquake and Stone Edge, and then you have basically a counter. You get poisoned, boom, Facade, you get put to sleep, Sleep Talk, you'd be covered in all those aspects. But those are the moves you might want to think about using for Alolan Golem. So we're going to look at one set here, because it's a fairly I wouldn't say niche, but fairly simple usage. It's defensive, it's also offensive, so you could either move this set here to full offensive or full defensive, but generally it's the same sort of set, same sort of feel to it. So the moves are going to be Stone Edge, Earthquake, Double Edge or Return, and then Sleep Talk, Facade, Volt Switch or Explosion. Ability of course is Galvanize. There's really not much of an argument to use the other two over this, and the nature is an adamant one to give us the most power possible. There's no point running Jolly because we're pretty slow already. Held item wise, you can have a choice band if you want to band it up and just go full power, or Life Orb if you want to be a bit more flexible, a bit more rotating in terms of your usage of moves, but of course you have a bit less power there. And of course health loss, that's also a good thing. EV wise, we have of course maximum attack and also maximum speed here, just so we can outspeed those slower Pokemon, but of course you could switch it out for maximum defense or maximum special defense if you want to put a bit of bulk there, just to allow yourself to survive, and the last few in defense because just bulk up a bit more. So, moves, we have Stone Edge as our physical rock stab, we have Earthquake as our coverage, pretty good overall. Double Edge or Return is your galvanized electric choice. Double Edge of course recoil, but Return is slightly less power, so it's up to you there. And then Sleep Talk, Facade, Volt Switch or Explosion. You can run Sleep Talk for that coverage in case you get put to sleep and you can still do damage. Facade is the option in case you get burnt or in case you get poisoned, as a counter for that basically. And then Volt Switch is if you want to be flexible almost, be able to take a hit and then Volt Switch out, and then you get in basically a free switch to whatever Pokemon you want, because of course you're slower, so you'll move at the end of the turn and then you come in afterwards. But of course the last option also there is Explosion. You could definitely run this alongside Return or Double Edge and just keep on doing it until you get down to fairly low health and then be like, bye, I'm taking you out. Boom, nuke, absolutely destroyed them as long as they're not a rock type, and pretty big damage there. So definitely a few options there. Of course, other moves we looked at we haven't mentioned here. I think we've pretty much covered them all actually, but that's sort of the moves you might want to think about using in any combination. You could mix up as well too. In terms of using it, you switch in. If it's a choice band, of course, you just use band and move until you switch out. Or if it's Life Orb, you can be a bit more flexible. Obviously you want to focus on returning because that's your highest base damage. Pair with Galvanize. But of course, if they're a ground type, you'd have to resort to using Stone Edge. But if it's a ground type, you really shouldn't be in there anyway. But you use those moves, and then as I mentioned, if you are using Explosion, once you get down to low health, you could always just blow them up. So that's really it for Golem though. So don't forget to vote for next episode's Pokemon. It's either going to be Tapu Koko or Tapu Fini. Which other Guardian do you want to see covered? Let me know down below by either commenting Koko or Fini. But this is it for today, so I shall be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.